What's up, everyone? Hope everybody is all good. Right, I want to talk today about the importance of getting lean first before we start the building phase, and why I think it's a good way to go about that before again you start raising calories and you start trying to go into a slight surplus. Now, there's different scenarios. It isn't black and white. I'm going to try and give you two scenarios just so you can understand. So let's take scenario number one, or person number one. 3 months training, the skinny fat, and the 20% body fat. That's scenario number one. Scenario number two, again, let's say someone who has been training for 5, 6, 7 years. They know what they're doing in the gym, but the body fat, again, they're too high, the 20%. So what should we do? We've got two lifters who are above 20% here. One's a beginner, one's been training for a long time. So let's take the beginner. What should the beginner do? If someone comes to me in the 20% body fat, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get them in a deficit. I'm going to try and get them down to close to 10% body fat. Now, why do I do that? A lot of people say beginners don't need to do that. They can recomp, they can build muscle and drop body fat at the same time by just staying at maintenance calories. Yes, they can, but it will take a lot longer to do that. Whereas if we just shave calories and we get them down to, again, 10% as fast as we can, you're going to be in a much better position to build from. Now, these beginners, as I say, someone who's skinny fat's got 3 months experience. While we're dropping body fat, while we drop calories down and they're losing body fat weekly, they're also going to be able to build some muscle tissue, even in a deficit, because everything is such a new and novel stimulus to them. If they've only been training for 3 months, they've been sitting on their ass for 3, 4, 5, 6 years before this. Training is completely novel to them. They're going to be able to build muscle tissue while dropping body fat at the same time. So we kill two birds at one stone. In a scenario like this, it makes a lot of sense. Instead of trying to spin our wheels at maintenance, even some crazy people suggest that these noobs who are 20% body fat, some people actually suggest that they should go on a surplus, which that's just nonsense. Why would you make them even fatter? They need to drop body fat and get to a healthy body fat percentage, and then we can build from there. So we kill two birds at one stone. Drop body fat, get down to a 10% range, build a little bit of muscle tissue on the way down because everything is a novel stimulus, and then you're good to go. That's scenario one. Scenario two, someone who's been training for 6, 7, 8 years, the 20% body fat. What do we do with them? They need to get lean again, but now on the way down for them, their main aim is just muscle preservation, strength preservation. They're not going to be building much muscle tissue on the way down, especially as a natural lifter. If you're enhanced, potentially, even then, it's still hard if you've got that much experience under your belt. So when you're dropping body fat at a certain stage, your main aim is just performance retention and muscle retention. You're not going to be building muscle tissue on the way down like the noob can. So in both scenarios, it just makes a lot of sense to get lean first before we start a building phase. Now, why do we like to do that? Well, think about it logically. Even in both scenarios, if we try and bulk from 20%, we're going to end up fat as fuck in 2, 3, 4 months. That doesn't give us a productive gaining phase. We don't get to build momentum because by the time we get 2, 3, 4 months in and we're seeing our lifts take off, you're going to have to diet back down because you're going to be getting close to potentially 22, 23% body fat, and nobody wants that. So if we get down to 10% and we start there, we've just got this massive long runway to build momentum, pick up some speed in the gym with all of our lift progressions and have a good 10, 11, 12 month progressive cycle of just taking everything up, slowly taking body weight up, slowly taking our lifts up. But because we set the tone and we get lean first to a healthy body fat composition, we've got all the wiggle room to do this. As I say, you do it correctly, it can take you a good 10 to 12 months to go from, maybe we start around 10%, and maybe you push this up to 16, 17, 18%. Some people can do that. If you do it slow, that can last you 10, 11, 12 months. But you only get to do that if you start from a lean start point. You build back up, come back down again, build back up, come back down again. Each time we do that, we go through a building phase and pull back down. You're going to be left with more net muscle tissue. That's the whole ideology behind it. It takes years of work. But yeah, the main purpose of this video was just to explain why I always start people getting them lean first before we go on a building phase, because starting from too high of a body fat percentage, you're just going to before you start to really pick up some steam at the gaining phase. You're going to have to start dying again if we're too fat. So it just makes sense. Take care of the body fat, get to a good healthy range, and then go from there. Not just from a physical standpoint of how you look and how you're going to feel, but there's a lot to do with insulin sensitivity and how we're going to utilize the food, the extra carbs that's going to be coming in. From a leaner start point, we're just going to have a much better functioning system if we start lean than if we start too fat, because I know myself when I've got too fat, and I've seen it with other clients as well, when you start getting up there on body fat percentage, digestion isn't as good, hunger signaling isn't as good. It's not a nice place to be. If you can prevent that for as long as possible, start lean, you're going to be good to go. Big long runway for progressions in the gym, and ultimately building momentum with your gaining phases is what's going to spark your new muscle tissue. If we can go through a nice 10, 11, 12 month gaining phase because we've started lean, you're only going to pick up a lot of momentum, and your building phase is going to go that much better, and you're going to be left with more net muscle tissue if you do it right. So that's the whole ideology behind it. Hopefully it all makes sense. Drop a comment down below. Let me know if you have any more questions. Anything like that, let me know. All right, speak to you soon.